What was the moment where everything literally changed for you then?
I was around 19, 18, 19, and I ended up having to stay indoors for a while. I didn't go outside. I ended up in my own company, ended up in solitude for a longer duration than I had in the past. And during this time, I was forced to face myself. I found a lot of time sitting in silence, hearing my own thoughts, and that morphed into yoga. And when an individual sits in silence and they're faced with their own thoughts, they're faced with understanding themselves. I think every individual will be surprised by the questions that their consciousness poses to them or their intuition. Just the usual stuff, fighting, being a terror.
Were you a good child at school?
It's a complex question when you ask me if I was good in school, because thinking if my son was to behave the same way I behaved in school, reprimand him, or would I condone it? I think my answer would be I'd condone it, because in school I would question everything. I wouldn't follow instructions all the time straight away. And I would be very cautious about who I would receive information from. And obviously this is a contradictory to how the education system wants students to be. Nowadays, they want you to be submissive, don't question authority, sit still for an hour and almost be a robot and be autonomous.
You're right. But I don't think that we've been programmed that way since millennia by the higher ups, taught by society to get an education, go to university, get married, get in debt, etc., and then did that cycle for your kids to continue that loop. But you saying you was questioning that at that young age.
100%.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, it's good. So I asked myself the question, if I was in school just following the example that these teachers set, following their instructions and taking their words verbatim, where would that leave me? I'm saying if students don't question authority, I'm not saying rebel, but if students don't question authority, the case may become the blind leading the blind. In school, I wasn't submissive, I was inquisitive, and I wanted to know the answer to everything. Teachers labelled me bad, teachers labelled me naughty because I would do things my own way. If the way it's being set for me didn't make sense to me. But yeah, I would just advise young people, as well as old people, but specifically young people, be able to think for yourself. And if someone's telling you to do something, if someone's giving you information or instructions, always question it. And if it doesn't make sense to you, trust your intuition.
Do you want to share some of the thoughts that went through your mind?
It was a natural progression for me, because if you imagine you're sitting down in silence, meditating. I didn't sit down and think, oh, meditation, I'm going to do meditation.
Yeah. How did that come about?
In Jamaica, we say, if someone's just at home chilling, we say, if you ask him what he's doing, you say, oh, I'm just holding the meds. So meditation, when I say meditation, I don't want people to think I'm sitting there with my hands like this and saying, I'm just referring to being in my own space and sitting still.
Meditation comes in many forms. Yeah. But that was your method. And so you're saying it's because you're from Jamaica?
Yeah.
And it's taught in meditation, is taught in Jamaica in a sense, meds, you call it, in a way.
Hold the meds, yeah. Just gather your thoughts.
Yeah.
Before you leave the house, or when you come back home, you gather your thoughts, sit in silence. And
That's cool.
This morphed into yoga for me, to answer your question, because I'm sitting still for 45 minutes at a time. So when it's time to move, I feel stiff. So one day I started just stretching and like stretching my back, stretching my groin, my legs. And I was astonished by how powerful I felt after stretching for 5 minutes. My 5-minute stretch turned into 20 minutes. And my 20-minute stretches turned into half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, because I realized the stretching worked wonders for my mental health as well. Not to say that I was depressed or going through anything mentally.
Okay.
But I felt like the stretching morphed into yoga, and the yoga aided with my meditation, and the two came hand in hand.
Absolutely. I like that. You've described that, you said that you didn't have any mental issues or depression or anything, but yet you still found your natural progression from meds to stretching into yoga. That's quite cool.
There'll be people that have been in my life for years, and they'll be watching this saying,
but listen,
you do meditation.
But tell them, how amazing is it? And how valuable is it? And how much are they missing out? Go on.
Words wouldn't be able to do it justice. Words would not be able to do it justice. Think about the world that we're living in today. So fast paced, and people are driven by instant gratification. So for you to actually sit down and be still your mind,
That's difficult for a lot of
a
people.
lot of people can't sit still for
They
5.
don't. So if you're saying you've got people out there who think, "Oh, you do meditation," woo. It's not woo.
Yeah. I didn't tell people
Why?
because I felt like it was demasculating people for like,
Is that part of your society? But society. Well, I
no,
thought you said that they all do meds from Jamaica. Is that right? I'm missing something.
because mainly yoga, the yoga aspect.
Oh,
Because I feel like because I'm a joker guy, I'm a perfect example. I can give it, but I can't receive it. So I can poke you and give jokes to you and like call you names and stuff as banter.
yeah.
But then,
If someone gives it to you,
yeah, like before, if someone would
say something to you.
speak,
Yeah. What would you do? Get angry?
it would just hurt my feelings.
Ah. Okay.
And I think with yoga and things like meditation, it's a vulnerable space. You have to be vulnerable to practice yoga and meditation, because imagine you're naked, mentally naked. You strip away your insecurities. If you're insecure about, I don't know, anything about yourself, physically or your character, you have to face it and strip it away. And it's you in your purest form.
You're right.
So yeah, I was kind of reluctant to tell people.
No, I think you should embrace that, because what I've seen is some of the, let's say, millionaires, billionaires, if you kind of ask them what they do and how they got to do what they're doing, they say meditation.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I've heard a few celebrities. Let me say this as well. I believe that every human has a voice inside their head, an inner guider. Some might call it God, some might call it the universe, some might call it your spirit, your soul. But every human has this voice guiding them through their life. What meditation does is allows you to silence your mind and get into the practice of managing your thoughts, so that that voice, that guidance, that spirit can speak and guide you with more clarity.
Absolutely. Very well said. Yeah, no, that's very well said. I think that that's beautifully put. Did you ever any religious beliefs before you did meditation? Or do you have any?
No, I haven't subscribed to any religion. I grew up in a Rastafarian household. So in my household, it was heavy on unity, love for every human, the importance of eating healthily, and the power of your diet on your consciousness.
There's two types of people, they say. People who have a religion tend to be believers, and there's spiritual seekers who find experience through meditation. So what you're saying is you've had experience.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And do you not think how wonderful that is? But not knocking believers by any means, but it's just the path that somebody gets on. And do you want to share how that experience was for you?
My experience in finding what I refer to as God,
Yeah,
has been enlightening and empowering. You asked me if I refer to my God as Jah. I didn't know how to answer it, because I wanted to present the fact to you that what I refer to as God is much more powerful than 3 letters, G-O-D or J-A-H. I have a strong sense of connection with my creator, so powerful that I don't think words or names will be able to contextualize it.
amazing.
But let me try my best.
That's fine. Yeah, go for it. I gather your thoughts, because a lot of people who do have that experience say literally the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you can contextualize that to the best of your ability for people who, are intrigued to know.
Look at the many different gods in different monotheistic and exoteric religions that worship an entity in the sky, or typically a male god in the sky, like Islam, Christianity, and other religions. If you look at a lot of these religions, they have their own individual gods. And I believe this indwelling intelligence that's in every organism, every human being, is the same spark, is the same seed that motivates the sun to rise and set, the moon to pass through the heavens, the wind to blow in the directions that it blows. That's what I refer to as my creator, something that's within everything, the same seed of creation that permeates every aspect of the universe. I'm trying to
I totally agree.
put it into context.
I couldn't contextualize that any better. It's in everything and everywhere.
Yeah.
I think you nailed that. For people out there, you've experienced that. Now, some believers of their own faith in, say, Sikhism, it's already in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's spelled out. It says, I am everywhere. I am in here. You can't define me. So Sikhism is almost a spiritual path, I think, too. So spiritual seekers path. Now, I can't speak too much on how they find or experience it. I'm sure many do, which is wonderful. But the way you've done it, and a lot of people who go on retreats trying to get that awakening feeling, they can also experience it, and they come out totally different from the other side.
Have you bore witness to anyone that's gone through that, apart from myself? Have you bore witness to anybody who's gone through a journey where you knew them in one way, and then they went on a spiritual journey and they've came back and they're completely different?
A lot of people on YouTube would speak about it. Personally, I think I find a lot of people who want to go, and whether they found them or not, it's hard to say, because it's very subjective, So I don't know whether I know if you when I was practicing Buddhism with some monks, and one of the monks decided to go out and abstain and integrate into being a monk, which I'd considered too at one point. Whether they find what they're looking for and then they stay there forever, and that was one of the drawbacks that I had, was that if I go and do that, what is the purpose? What as in your book, it says, what is the legacy you're leaving behind by doing that? I don't know if I'm detracted from what your question was, but
there's no detraction. I think I get exactly what you're saying. Are you saying that because there's no certainty that you're going to find what you're looking for, what's the purpose of going there and spending your whole life looking for it?
Well, for myself, it was kind of different, because I'd kind of had that similar experience you're talking about. And I then felt no longer required to be in the UK here, further in the rat race and progression with all this noise. And I just wanted to live a normal life as a monk in Thailand too. But then I found a deeper purpose. And, hence why I've set up empowerment therapies here. It's hence why I've set up the podcast and having people like yourself on board who have a similar vision and of helping other people understanding themselves.
That's powerful. Because it sounds from your journey, you unplugged from the matrix, for lack of a better term.
Sure.
You went on a retreat.
I didn't go on, but
but you went on a vision, or you went on a journey of self.
Yeah.
And on this journey, you found a purpose. It's like the journey that you was on. You didn't know what exactly you were looking for. You just know you didn't want to be a part of this rat race and this matrix. And in breaking away from the matrix, you found yourself, and you found this podcast. You found your purpose. And I think that's powerful.
Thank you.
So it seems as if a lot of people go through these journeys of self and they don't realize what they're looking for is actually it's with them their whole life. They're looking for themselves. And it's that intuition, it's that voice in your head that's been guiding you since you were a baby. It's that voice in your head that told you this isn't right. When you're at a party and everyone's drunk and you're probably the only sober one, or you could be drunk too, but there's still that small voice in your head thinking, is this life? Is this why we're here? Surely life is bigger than taxes. Surely life is bigger than what we've been exposed to on television shows.
Absolutely.
And when you break away from all of the distractions and you go on your own journey of self, the revelation will be a spectacle. The revelation, as testament to what you've created in this podcast, finding your inner empowerment, I think is significant.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. You said something about Mike Tyson. He was asked in an interview once, what's the legacy you're leaving behind? And he said something like, I don't I don't care about no legacy.
Yeah. When you're dead, you're just dead.
Now look how he's changed.
Yeah.
He's a changed man. He flies racing pigeons in Warsaw.
In Warsaw.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. He came down. There's a place in Warsaw called Russia. There's the flying pigeons in there, and he's an advocate. Do you see what I'm saying? How
Yeah.
people change.
Yeah. People mature, people develop, and people find themselves. People allow themselves to become their true self.
Look, irrespective of how he did it, we know that he's taken some transcendence medications.
Yeah.
Whether that be ayahuasca, 5-MeO, mushrooms or whatnot. That's cool. Because taken correctly, taken properly, and it can work. I would say it can work for most people. In fact, I'm going to be interviewing a lady who is working with psilocybin.
Okay.
And she's conducting it. She's a teacher at the University of King's College, I believe. And she's been part of a trial where they administer it to pregnant women as well during it. And she's doing a study on how it helps.
That would be interesting.
But it helps a lot of people with mental issues, a lot of depression. The thing is, I know a lot of people who've gone through those two things. They've gone down the rabbit hole before they find and get out of it. Otherwise, I've seen a lot of people who go down that rabbit hole and into depression, don't come out of it. And that's the problem. And that's why we set up an empowerment to say, look, you don't need to do that. There are ways. There's reset methods.
Yeah.
And I've just a little shameless plug. I've created a guide. If you do need a quick reset guide, I'll drop a link below as well. You can go and grab that quick guide. Anybody who needs to hear that and have a reset.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Although I've never taken any psychedelic drugs.
And you don't need to.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right?
Exactly. This is the point I'm about to make. Although I've never taken any psychedelic drugs, people who have, and I've heard their experience, they have told me that when they have taken these drugs, their mind becomes open to realities that they never knew existed. In other words, they have told me that when they take these drugs, the reality that they thought was the be-all and end-all of life breaks down and their eyes become open to something magical and phenomenal. This is something that occurs when you practice yoga and things like meditation. I strongly believe that the effects of psychedelic drugs are one and two the same thing of the effects and reality shifting phenomena that takes place when people practice meditation.
100%.
Which is a breaking down of the systems that have been built up for years, all through your life. If you're forced to sit in silence and face your psyche and break down the things that you don't like, or break down the things that have been set in front of your face like an illusion, your beliefs, your pleasures, your likes and your dislikes, if you're able to break that down, you become exposed to a reality that is so pure, it can only be described as magical. And the only effect of that is peace of mind.
I totally agree. I haven't shared this online yet either. Only two people who come to my Sambo classes. I teach Sambo, I do Sambo sessions. Told you that. Yeah. I've only shared it with those guys. When I was going through my journey, I went and climbed Mount Snowdon and a couple of the other high peaks. However, Mount Snowdon journey began at 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, we did night one, my friend and I. And we think it literally took us 8 hours to get to the peak during the night. And people were telling us, oh, it's cloudy, don't bother going up there. You might as well turn back. We're like, we've committed 6 hours into this now. What's 3 more hours? Eventually, step by step, we took it. We were in a lot of pain. We weren't used to this, did 0 effort workouts for it, nothing. And we just went knee deep into the night shift mode. We were prepared in sense of we had flashlights and all the gear, but just no idea. And that's usually me. I got all the gear, no idea, just chuck it in. We'll make it work. And anyway, when we got to the top and we saw the most amazing sunrise, and it was a blanket of peaks of mountains you could see below you, covered with cloud mist. It was just beautiful. It was something I kind of envisioned and dreamed of from way back. And while the sun came up, I sat there just meditating. And at that point, something just hit, and it was transcendence. And the amazingness I felt, that experience, I felt, hey, listen, you don't need drugs to have the same effect.
Yeah.
I felt like, from my experience, I felt what I needed to feel, and I was joyful. I was just enraptured.
Good. Your journey of hardship, climbing up that mountain for the end goal to be splendor, it's an anecdote for life. It's an anecdote for the human experience. As humans, we go through a plethora of emotions, feelings, mood swings, relationship breakdowns. We go through a plethora of ups and downs in life, trials and tribulations. But every human has the power, every single human has the power of choice. You can either choose to make what you're going through break you, or make what you're going through teach you a valuable lesson about yourself. And when you do choose to be inspired by what you've gone through, when you do choose to overcome what you're going through, that decision gets passed down in your genetics. That decision to be strong, that decision to be resilient gets passed down through your genetics if you choose to procreate to your children. And that same gene has the propensity to live for generations. So you might not think that you're doing anything significant by climbing a mountain and experiencing the beauty at its peak. But what you're doing, you're setting in motion a significant shift and chain reaction that will exist long after you've gone off this planet. And the mountain is just a symbol that represents challenges which every human might go through, whether it's troubles with the mortgage, like I said, relationships, debt. Every human has the power to choose to be enlightened and grow through what they're going through. Can I touch on something you mentioned earlier?
Absolutely.
This is what I've just said ties into what you mentioned earlier about legacy. And you mentioned that there's people in the world now who think that life is just about waking up, going to work, sleeping, going to the bathroom. And they think that this is all there is to life. And when you say that, and when I think about people who have that reality, it breaks my heart, to be honest. It breaks my heart to know that people think that they are that significant, they are that insignificant. Every human is powerful. Every human has so much innate power within them. Every human has that seed of creation. We are here as creators, and art, music, architecture, landscaping, bricklaying, carpentry, all the different inventions that humans have put together are testament to this. Every human has that power. And I want everyone to know that you are powerful. If you choose to tap in to your power, every human has a superpower. Someone's superpower might be in bricklaying. Someone's superpower might be in being an author. Someone's superpower might be in communication. Someone's superpower might be singing. But no matter how big or small your superpower is, it's there. It's within you. You are not here on this planet to just wake up, go to work, go to the bathroom and sleep and repeat. Your legacy and your power is way more significant than you can even imagine. And I would urge every human to do some introspection, do some self-evaluation. I would urge every human to take themselves serious. You're way more powerful than you think. You're way more powerful than anyone can tell you, because only you know your power. I can only try to facilitate your power and allow you to look inside yourself, but only you can bring your true power out of yourself.
Absolutely. You were talking about masculinity earlier. Now, what's it look like to be masculine in 2026 to people now? What does it mean to be a strong man in 2026 then?
You asking my opinion?
Yeah.
The definition of a person's characteristic, if the definition is significant, it should have the ability to live through ages. It shouldn't change. So the term strong man or masculine man, that should never shift if the definition of it is accurate and significant, which I think it should be. I think what it looks like to be a strong man, or what is a masculine man now, is encompassed by traits and characteristics such as peace of mind. That's at the top, that's at the pinnacle. Being disciplined, being a good listener, being an effective communicator, which ties in with being a good listener, and having passion for whatever it is you're doing. Be passionate, have honor, have integrity. Don't allow yourself to be swayed and pushed by the winds and the whirls of society. Stand firm in something. Stand firm in whatever you believe in.
I like that.
I don't think it's just men. Humans in general. I think there's a purpose deficit in humanity.
Explain purpose deficit for people who might not understand what that means. It's mentioned in the book, isn't it?
Yeah, I think when I say purpose deficit, I'm referring to the lack of purpose in a lot of humans. Now, a lot of humans, they don't think that they're significant. They think they're just here and then they're gone. They don't need to do anything to maintain their legacy. And I think that this purpose deficit is rampant in society because of the rise of things like technology and society becoming more fast-paced with things like capitalism. A lot of the inventions that humans put their brain to create, I've noticed, make humanity and our life easier. Things like the microwave, you just throw it in there, turn the knob and it heats up. Things like the treadmill, go on the treadmill, you don't have to actually go anywhere. You're just running on the spot. So you're not running against the kinetic energy. Like if you're running in the park, for example, station, VR, virtual reality headsets. Of what I'm saying, a lot of the technology nowadays, it's distractions. There's not a lot of things that people can utilize that gives them a sense of purpose. And there's, with these new creations and these new inventions, there's a sense of instant gratification that comes along with them.
Yeah.
Like microwave meals, social media, likes and clicks.
All that dopamine, again, rushed as soon as you get that like. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it's dangerous because I think that's what we're referring to here. We see a purpose deficit in humanity. Men and females alike, they're becoming further and further away from themselves.
What will the future look like with humans? And where do you think evolution will go?
I'm an optimist.
Okay. Given the rise of ChatGPT and AI,
artificial intelligence has its pros and its cons. Throughout human history, we've been faced with many obstacles. We've been faced with many pandemics and things that should have quite rightly wiped us out. But through every hardship that humanity has faced, we've managed to incentivize ways in which we can prevent that situation from happening again and overcome it, whether it's war, plagues, or other situations that threaten our livelihood. And now I think we're seeing the same with artificial intelligence. There's good and bad in everything. So in 2060 or 60 years from now, whichever one you want to choose, I think that humanity will experience a even brighter and radiant enlightenment that we've experienced in the past 50 years. There will be a lot more information accessible to people who otherwise wouldn't have had the information in the past. With the rise of technology, we've got, with our phones, we've got a library in our hand, a calculator in our hand, historians in our hand, GPS in our hands, radio. We've got access to so much information, and
it won't be in our hands anymore. And that, you still think it'll be in hands or will be implanted in your head?
I think there'll be a choice.
Yeah,
I think there'll be a choice. But the point I'm making is, I'm an optimist for the future.
Yeah,
I think that there'll be a dissemination of truth, whether or not people receive it or choose to accept it, it's up to them. But the truth will be out there for people to consume and live by.
Speaking of truth, everyone's been talking about it on the news and it's everywhere. And the Epstein files. Now, I'd like to hear what your thoughts on that and why you think it's been brought out now. And my opinion is I'm on the fence of that. It's desensitizing us from the real truth that's been lurking in the background for many years, and that we're just finding out about it now, and people are overwhelmed and they don't really know what to do with it anymore. Give me your thoughts.
Earlier on, I mentioned how optimistic I am for the future, based on the fact that there's going to be a revelation of multiple truths. And so people have the choice now to either bury their heads in the sand or bear witness to what it is that's going on. A member of the royal family has been arrested.
Is anything going to be done to him? We don't know.
We can only observe and create our own understandings from it and allow it to inform how we go forward with our perception of authority. I don't want to sit here and continue talking about the power and significance of having a peace of mind, but when you look at things like the Epstein files and the strange behaviors that are displayed by people of power, it begs the question, is money and being a billionaire such a great thing without peace of mind, because you have a lot of stories of billionaires, people who have everything that a human can wish for power wise, but they go insane, or their lifestyles are the most corrupt and vile expressions of human urges and human dispositions. If they have everything materialistic wise with no peace of mind, are they really satisfied with life?
The answer probably no. But they got that craving going on.
There's something in them there, isn't there? The craving, there's something in there, something inside people that's always saying more, more, more. So you can buy one yacht, 2 planes,
Yeah.
3 properties, 3 mansions or 30 mansions,
Satiated.
islands. Yeah, 2 islands. They're never satisfied because voice, or that thing that's inside of them, that void, it's not being filled. It's like they're constantly going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And it's never ending.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. But I don't know. Whatever it's going on, like I said, it's desensitizing the public to making them feel it's acceptable.
I think going back to the future, humans will be forced to open their minds or go insane. Humans will be forced, well, they'll have the choice whether they want to maintain their illusion and small concept of reality and believe everything what is being told to them, or they can search for answers to these driving questions that are within them. Speaking of aliens,
Do you believe in aliens?
what's an alien? Yeah.
Myself, I think an alien can be an entity of a higher power that has different abilities and strengths compared to what is known as the human strength of evolution of a human at the moment. So it can be literally anything. Some people have, like in the Vedas,
The Invaders.
Vishnu and all the other gods, they could have been aliens.
Yeah.
So whoever built, like say the pyramids, it could have been gods. So everyone's got different ideas, entities, areas. I don't know. Could be. Are there greys out there? Are they doing things like that? Quite possibly. Are we species derived from aliens?
Yeah.
Do you believe in the Darwin theory?
There's definitely a plethora of philosophy that either defend the existence of aliens or debunk the fact that aliens exist.
So what do you think?
I think that it's an interesting topic. There's a civilization in West Africa called the Dogon tribe, and Western archaeologists and historians and theologians alike came into contact with this Dogon tribe in, I think it was the 40s or 50s. And when these Western researchers embarked upon this tribe, the Western researchers looked and thought, what a peculiar set of people. Why do they have these huge masks on that hide their face? Why do they look towards the stars in the sky and dance underneath the Sirius star system? Why do they sacrifice animals? Let me delve a bit deeper. What do they believe? And these Western researchers spoke with the high priest from the Dogon tribe. And this Dogon tribe embraced all of these Western researchers, because when the first Western researcher came and visited, the Western researcher went back to their country, spreaded the word, and it spread through the EU, and more researchers from the West, from Europe, began to travel to Mali to research with these Dogons. And the Dogons, they had information about the constellation of different star systems in the Milky Way galaxy. They had their own rendition and creation story, which went into detail about how the Earth was born and how humanity was created. And they understood themselves to be the descendants of what we would refer to as aliens. According to the Dogon tribe, they are descendants of a higher civilization that came to inhabit planet Earth from the star system Sirius, which is the brightest star in Milky Way galaxy. When these Western scientists embarked upon the Dogon tribe, took their notes and went back to the European countries that they came from and cross-referenced the Dogon tribe's studies and hypotheses, the Western researchers were astonished. They didn't know how on earth this tribe, that according to their narrative had lived in swamps for thousands of years, knew that the star system Sirius had another dwarf star that orbited it because it's impossible for us to see with the human eye. This Dogon tribe had mountains of knowledge and evidence of extraterrestrial existence in the solar system, in the galaxy, that astonished the Western societies.
That's amazing.
So when we're speaking about aliens,
Mm.
it's an interesting topic because there's people on the planet now who claim to be descendants of aliens.
There you go.
And
Do they claim that?
yeah. And the knowledge that they possess, it's a mystery to how they attain such knowledge, because they had this knowledge being passed down to them generation after generation. When they had this knowledge, the Western civilizations, they didn't even have the facilities to cross-reference what these Dogon tribe priests hypothesized. The Western societies had to wait for their own technological advancements in like telescopes and exactly, in order to prove that these tribes were actually right.
See,
The Dogon tribes say that they're descendants from the Egyptians.
wow. There you go. I'd like to know more about that at some point. Yeah. And was it Goblik Tepe? I can't even say that name. I don't know if you've heard of that place. Goblik Tepe. No? Have you heard of Graham Hancock? He's not an archaeologist. He's more of an anthropologist, stroke archaeologist. Archaeologists don't like him.
Okay.
He's got a Netflix program, 3 series, and he explores the Mayans all the way from the Aztecs, different cultures. And Goblik Tepe, I'm not saying that right, I know it. And they say that was a star system that they developed. It's a bit like Stonehenge kind of place. And the way the sun rises, the moon descends, and etc. They were able to map out star systems as well before
millenniums or centuries before the technological advancements in Europe. So it's interesting when we look at things like ancient civilizations and the technological advancements that they were able to construct, like the pyramids of Giza.
Yeah.
It's interesting to consider, what have humans lost that has made us unable to comprehend such technology, or what have humans gained that has shut those senses down? That's if humans are responsible for creating some of the wonders of the world that we don't understand now.
And why haven't we created anything ever since? Right. So let's move on. So we know about how you regulate yourself with stress, right? By saying that you control that with your meditation. Do you still practice meditating and the yoga?
Yep. 6 in the morning.
You still do it?
Yeah, every day. 6 in the morning. Get my mind right. Between 20 minutes and an hour. After 20 minutes, I enter a flow stage, even if I don't do yoga and I'm just meditating.
Explain the flow state to people. Is that something you can teach? Is a routine that you could possibly give somebody
in order to
get into flow state?
Just practice.
Yeah. What to look at for you?
Fluidity.
In the zone.
In the zone. Not thinking about your next step, just doing it. And it just so happens that all of the pieces in the puzzle are falling in the exact place that they need to be without you having to think about, oh, this puzzle piece must go here. That's what the flow state looks like.
I like it. There's a guy called Thich Nhat Hanh, and Thich Nhat Hanh, he, actually not him, no. Anyway, he was the founder of Flow. He's written a book on it, and then there's a guy who called Stephen Kotler, I got his name right. He's written a book, I've read his book, on how to achieve flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you find the book?
Amazing.
Good.
Stephen Kotler, he's done many books. He's done a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos out there, and he teaches people how to achieve that. A few ways people can get into flow state is by channeling the brain. He normally represents it by when skiers, before they go down the slope, if they see the red flags or a tree, they go in there. Before they go down, if they say, don't hit that tree on the way down, what happens? They hit that tree.
Yep.
So flow state, in other words, entrainment is when you're visualizing your exact path, how you want it to occur, and you visualize it and you go through it, and then you end up doing that 9 times out of 10.
Okay. That sounds very useful, and I think a lot of humans will benefit from that. Visualizing your path before you make your steps.
Yeah.
And with practice, you'll achieve perfection. Neuroscientists have promoted a phenomenon called synaptogenesis. And in a nutshell, it just refers to your brain's ability to learn new things.
Neuroplasticity.
But synaptogenesis refers to the birth of neurons in your brain. The more you practice, for those who don't know, your thought pattern and your train of thought is upheld, produced, and connected by neurons. Neurons send messages from your brain to your body. Like if I want to pick up this book, a neuron is sent from my brain to my arm, essentially, to pick up the book. And neuroscientists have discovered that the more you practice thinking in a certain way, the more you practice visualizing your path before you go and do something, you give birth to more neurons, you give birth to more synapses that connect to your neurons. So a neuron travels through a synapse to another neuron in my arm, and then that neuron travels through another synapse to my hand, roughly speaking,
sure.
for me to pick up this book.
Absolutely.
So Genesis relates to people getting into the practice of something and it giving birth to new pathways in your brain that you can strengthen and perfect and become the master of.
Absolutely.
No human is too old to learn new things.
Research also suggests that lion's mane mushrooms is a functional mushroom. So I've used it and it gets rid of fog in the morning and brain fog in the morning and stuff. But apparently it's the other research now suggests that it helps with neuroplasticity with your brain. And the second thing I want to say is that all of a sudden this year, why is it that the UK government are now banning small shops from selling it, and would explain why you can't get anymore.
You can only get lion's mane mushroom from America. And I know the term mushroom has connotations linked with drugs, but we're not talking about any psychedelic mushroom. It's literally just mushrooms that we eat.
Yeah. So they're called functional mushrooms. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
The UK has banned small shops from selling lion's mane mushrooms, but it makes sense when you think about the
beginning to ban them. There's something along the lines of you have to have £200,000 worth of sales or give them that much before they give you a license to sell it. They're definitely regulating it furthermore. It's going to be more difficult for you to get that as you would have done a year or two ago.
The medication industry is a big industry, and the more sick people there are, the more money in the medication system. So why would they want something as powerful as lion's mane mushroom that can help people become their best version of themselves when they want to continue running a business off the sickness?
Exactly. I think that someone did do some research that they tried to monetize lion's mane mushroom in the 70s, but they weren't unable to make any viable product that would actually, they could work off. It didn't work. So having it originally was the best form. Lovely. Right. So some few rapid fire quick questions. Yeah. So leave us with, what's one habit everyone should steal from you?
No one has to steal anything from me. I'll give people the gem of a habit. What's one habit that I think people would benefit from?
From you, taken away.
Always consider what your future self would think before you make a decision. Before every decision, think about how this will benefit your future self. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. What's one mistake you'd never repeat?
Being ignorant.
Okay. What's one truth people avoid hearing?
You're greater than you think.
I love it. Knowing now everything in life now, what would a younger self of you, what would you tell that younger self?
I would have said, you're doing great. Well done. Continue to trust your intuition. Continue to question everything. And most of all, continue to trust yourself. You've got this.
And lastly, finish the sentence. Real power is
peace of mind.
Love it. There's a bonus question. I've got these cards here. So these are cards from Diary of CEO. Do you watch Diary of CEO?
Yeah, I've watched a few of his episodes. You've got a similar kind of vibe too.
We haven't even talked about your juice.
Yeah.
So just tell me more about this juice.
Well, my juice business is called Alka Juice. It's called Alka Juice because it's made with alkaline. We have many different flavors. We've got watermelon, strawberry, mango apple, pineapple, ginger, turmeric. And at the moment,
it's all like healthy stuff.
Yeah, it's healthy. Each flavor has its own benefits and purpose for people that want to drink it. So if you want to build muscle or you want to strengthen your fibers, after a gym session, after the pain, and you want to reduce the pain, we would recommend you buy our watermelon alka juice or strawberry. If you want to lose weight, we would recommend you buying the apple.
And then obviously, how long did it take for you to write your book?
5 years altogether. Can I say something? This book took me 5 years to write. And when I told a few people that I had published a book and I've been dropping them off, one of my customers said to me, "Oh, you used AI, fair play." And I took offense and I had to tell the person, no, I haven't used AI at all in the formulation of this book. I don't know if it's because I hadn't mentioned to anyone within this 5 years that I had been writing a book, and it's like I've just pulled it out of nowhere and I've been working on it in silence, that the person thought, oh, you've just made this quick. But I took offense because I've gone through years of education. I've got my degree in sociology. I've got my postgraduate certificate in education, and I've gone through many years in education, and I've never used artificial intelligence, whether it's ChatGPT or Copilot. I've never used artificial intelligence for anything that I've created. I take pride and I relish in using my actual brain because it gives me a sense of pride when I actually present the final product, like this book. So this book, to answer your question, took me 5 years to write, 5 years in and out. During the 5 years, I was running my business in education, working and doing many different things.
But yeah, but back to the book.
Yeah.
I mean, where you've taken everything from and your life experiences that you've put into elements of it into it as well.
You know, for those of you that don't know what
I'm talking about,
what you're referring to is a situation where my cousin brought home her boyfriend to meet her parents. They had food, they had a healthy discussion between them, and my cousin's parents said, "Oh, that's such a nice boy, let's drop him home." They dropped him home. They came back home, and my cousin's dad asked her, "Oh, so tell me more about this boy. He's such a lovely lad. Who are his parents?" And when my cousin told her dad who the boy's parents were, her dad forbid her from seeing him again. She had to cease all communication with the boy because of the legacy that the boy's parents had left behind. The boy's parent, his dad was a repeat offender, a convicted felon. His mom was not the most sensible representation of an etiquette woman in society.
Yeah.
The boy's parents had criminal records. So my cousin had to stop seeing this boy based on the legacy that the boy's parents left behind. Yeah, 100%. In the same chapter, I give the example of Steven Seagal.
Oh yeah,
he ruined his legacy, completely debauched his legacy after.
There's things in that about Steven Seagal I didn't know until I read that book.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, did he?
Yeah.
To be fair, it makes sense that he only did those movies afterwards and never did anything else afterwards.
Yeah, because a lot of producers refused to work with him based on the legacy he had left behind. It's like burnt toast. You can throw out the toast, but the smell still lingers.
Good analogy.
Yeah, so in that chapter, I touch on many different negative examples of people's actions and the things that you do in today's society, or the things that you do today without thinking about how it will affect you or your family tomorrow.
Yeah.
There should be a heightened
awareness.
Yeah, there should be a heightened awareness of your legacy.
Absolutely. Now, I like what you're doing here, and with these facts and these books, I'm hopefully going to be trying to work with some potential. I'm hoping to help people in prisons at some point, and whether that through be sound bowl and people going to rehabs again, and it's stuff like this, these conversations we're having and what you've put in your book that can resonate with people. I think your book needs to go to people, places like prisons as well.
Yeah, 100%. And when we talk about legacy, we're not referring specifically as kids. We're not talking about your legacy as kids, because a lot of people will think, legacy, you mean my daughter or my son? Your legacy just means how you are represented, whether it's through like a book, your children, your business, how you are represented, like the trail that you leave behind you. Imagine your life is a play, a script. Think of the analogy of you're walking through snow, and every step you take, you're leaving your footsteps behind you. But each footstep paints an image of the decisions that you were making each step of your journey. So each footstep will leave behind who you treated wrong, who you treated right, who you helped, who you chose not to help, what you learned on your journey, what you were ignorant to. Each footstep tells tells a story of how you lived your life. That's what we're referring to here in regards to legacy. Think of that analogy.
I like that. Absolutely. I think putting it like that and leaving a legacy, it makes you wonder and question, can you fix yourself or back up out of it? It's difficult. You mentioned P. Diddy in there. Who else made some bad judgments and choices? I think, did you mention Mike Tyson? You mentioned, but that wasn't to do with, that was it. Oh.
P. Diddy, Mike Tyson. I mentioned Gucci Man. Gucci
No.
Man,
What happened with Gucci, man?
he made a plethora of bad decisions, a string of convictions, and not so nice relationships with women, encounters with women,
Yeah.
with beating women up and using them for things that aren't condoned. But he's an individual who was able to turn his life around. He's an individual who went to jail throughout his whole life. He's been in and out of jail. And his last prison sentence, the judge said, look, you need to sort your life out, otherwise you're going to stay in jail for the rest of your life and you will not see daylight ever. And he took this as an initiative to work on himself. When he went to jail, he was forced to stop drinking alcohol, stop smoking weed, stop taking drugs. I mean, for example, before he went to jail, I've got this in the book. He's got a song called Breakfast, and in the chorus he says, I smoke weed for breakfast, I take Xannies for breakfast, I drink lean for breakfast, which is opioids and like heroin.
Lean is.
Yeah. I don't eat breakfast, I only take drugs for breakfast. This is what he's saying in the chorus of the song. So when he got arrested the last time, he was forced to reinvent himself. One day when he was in jail, one of the prison guards knocked on his cell with the best news he'd ever received in his life. The judge has given you a second chance. You can take this deal and we'll allow you to be released. By this time, Gucci Man had already lost hundreds of pounds because he'd been working out. He'd had more mental clarity because he'd stopped drinking and smoking and reduced his amount of drugs, or completely stopped the amount of drugs he'd been taking. So now he was released from jail and he set up foundations, and now he's become a positive beacon of light for other celebrities or young people who may be on the journey that he was on prior to going to jail and reinventing himself.
Oh, wow.
So he's an individual and an example that I've included in the book of someone who's turned their legacy around.
Yeah.
So
Can be done.
he was the burnt toast, but when he turned his life around, he came back and was fanning the smell of the burnt toast, and the room doesn't have the smell anymore.
No. Do you reckon Diddy can do the same thing? He's got his work cut out, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's possible.
Just because even some people say, oh yeah, I've got the light, I've got the wisdom here, follow me. You need to go and find it yourself.
100%. It goes back to the experience that I shared earlier about the teachers.
Yeah.
People can portray that they're living in a certain way and they can thrive and even get an ego stroke from giving you instructions and acting like they're actually helping you with information. Check your sources. And not all money is good money.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who are aspiring to become good businessmen, artists, musicians. So they're eager to network. Let's go and network with this big corporation because they're seeing the material aspect of it. But not all money is good money.
100% ethical. People who want to be ethical, like, I'm not saying I'm an angel or I have been an angel. Finding the way to be on a better path, change yourself. That's what one can aspire to do.
Yeah.
Would you agree to that?
Self-development every day, every week, every month, or every year. The choice is yours. Choose to develop yourself. Set yourself small challenges. Say, okay, this week I'm not going to eat any pork, or I'm not going to eat any sweets this week, or I'm going to try and go a month without alcohol. I'm going to go to the gym, or set yourself small challenges.
Do you know one challenge I'd give them? Stop gossiping. How hard would that be? That'd be difficult for 99% of people out there.
No, I'd urge people to continue gossiping, because when people gossip to me, it shows me the character that I'm dealing with. No, continue. So I know the character. I'm joking, but yeah.
It's true though, isn't it?
Yeah.
People gossip so hard out there. Like, bro, you fix your own self before you start throwing shade out there on other people or whatnot. But again, that's what fuels a lot of stuff. But you know what else I realized in whilst I was on my journey? When you stop gossiping and stuff, you're so out of the picture of integration of normal society. And I got social anxiety afterwards.
Mm.
I didn't think that was a thing until it hit me, and I found it so hard to integrate back into the corporate world. It was difficult,
What does social anxiety feel like?
horrible. It gives me anxiety. It makes me not want to integrate back into society. I'm living as a hermit for so long, trying to conjure up conversations which I would have been far more easier. Would have been able to have with most people. I find it a challenge and a chore.
Have you managed to overcome that challenge now? And if you have, how did you overcome it?
There wasn't a simple way of overcoming. If I'm honest, I still get elements of it. I'm not gonna lie.
When you're experiencing social anxiety, what is going through your mind?
It's almost like sort of a procrastinating feeling, not wanting to be there, far removed from the conversation
Why?
because I don't resonate with some of the stuff that they're gonna be. It's small talk. I can't resonate with. Can't resonate with that low frequency from the people. If they were gonna articulate some powerful, deep conversations like we've had tonight,
Yeah.
I'm there all day long, not a problem. But it was just mundane, and I couldn't do it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. For someone who's naturally deep, for someone who has experienced a deeper sense of life, it's almost putting yourself into a small box and marginalizing yourself when you participate in such mundane interactions. Because without substance in a conversation, it's difficult to know people's true intentions, and you might end up oversharing. Or you don't necessarily understand the direction of the conversation or the agenda of the conversation. If it's small talk, it's like, what are we doing here? So, and when you're engaging in a conversation with someone, it's actually like a contractual agreement. It's like you're locked in with that person for the duration of time that you're talking with them. And small talk is I can understand why people will be reluctant to small talk, because you don't want to be participating in an agreement with someone that you don't even know that well, especially if it's just flippant and the topic of conversation is just in the air. Energy is priceless. So engaging in small talk, you're running the risk of giving away your priceless energy.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Oversharing. What's your thoughts on that? Oversharing is hard to do. Like what we're doing today, you could be oversharing, and that's great because you're one with yourself to be able to conduct yourself, to show the shadow work you've done to help other people.
Yeah.
So it's got to be done in a space where you find it acceptable
and safe to do so. It's a shame that we have to create terms like oversharing, because humans, we are the only creatures on the planet who have the ability to utilize language to get a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us and of each other. So we should be able to utilize our language to uplift us. But unfortunately, we've had to establish terms like oversharing because people have the ability to use your information against you. Hence why you get things like manipulation, domestic violence, and emotional abuse. It's a shame that we have to establish these terms like oversharing, but if you share your information with the right person, it can work wonders for your mental health. Because people, if you're sharing with the right person, they'll uplift you. But you got to know how to read people. You got to know how much to share. I would advise anyone who has noticed that they have an issue with oversharing and they tend to overshare too much. Like if they're at the bus stop, for example, with someone and someone says to them, "Oh, what bus you waiting for?" And then you end up talking about your mum, how she's not well and your wedding and whatnot. And then afterwards you find yourself kicking yourself like, oh my God, I just shared so much information with that person. I don't even know their name. If you're an individual who experiences this, I would advise you to keep a part of yourself for yourself. Treat your energy like it's more valuable than platinum and gold. Keep your history, your information, your emotions, your thoughts. Treat these with the priority that they deserve.
100%. Some self-reflection, man. It's good. How do you keep fit? What, do you still going? I can see you've been doing a bit of gym work.
Yeah, it's more body weights now. I used to go to the gym and power lift, but I hit my target and I said, I'm going to retire if I can do 3 plates on a bench press.
Explain what 3 plates are. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60
Yeah,
on each
6.
side.
And I said, if I can lift 150 kg, 150 kilograms on a bench press, then I'll retire from the gym. So I'd done it way before I imagined I'd be able to do it. And I stopped going to the gym and I just run now, yoga, meditation, and run. I go on 5Ks a couple of times a week. I intend to do a sub 25K this year. That's my goal, to run 5K in less than 20 minutes. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do to keep fit, as well as my diet as well. I don't eat meat. I don't eat egg. I don't eat things from animals. Yeah, so that's I keep fit.
You mentioned that before we started the conversation recording that you got a couple of red carpet or some awards or ceremonies. Go ahead and tell me more about that.
I have one award ceremony coming up in London where I've been nominated for the Literary Inspirational Trailblazer Award for authors.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you, brother. That award ceremony is organised by Marcia Spence, who owns her publishing company, which is Marcia Spence Publishing. Forgive me if I got it wrong.
Any relation by any chance?
No, I didn't. With Marcia. I think I've got a few more books in the pipeline that I'm just waiting to press the green light and publish. So I think people can look forward to books from myself being published through Marcia.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When is the award show?
No, in April.
Okay.
It's in April. Yeah, the beginning of April.
Well, if you're watching it now, we'll link down below. But it depends when this gets out. Whenever you're seeing this, might be an award winner author. Well, there's not many anyway. That speaks volumes as it is.
And the book's doing great. Like when I wrote this book and all of the other books that I've wrote, I've said to myself, even if I sell one copy and it changes someone's life, if I sell one copy and one person is able to read it and they get inspiration from it, or they're able to change their bad habits, I'm happy with that. So when I published the book and my Amazon report, because I published through Amazon KDP, when the Amazon report told me I sold 100 copies in the first week, I was like, what on earth is I did not anticipate that at all. So yeah, award ceremonies, I'm grateful for them. And to be labeled as a best-selling author, like my book was #1 bestseller in Amazon's new releases in behaviorism and psychology without any paid promotion. I didn't pay for any ads or marketing or extra promotion. It just was natural. And when I saw that, I was flabbergasted. I was astonished. So the ceremonies and the awards are lovely, but being able to positively change someone's life or mind frame creates a currency way more significant than money or titles like awards.
No, because it's a more deeper, purposeful meaning you're leaving behind.
Of course.
And that's what your book's about. And I do love it. It's how much is it? Is it on Amazon 18.99 or something?
On Amazon, the hardcover is, I think it's 19.99, and the paperback cover is 13.99. That's on Amazon. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to make some free copies accessible. The Kindle edition is $5.99 on Amazon as well. My audiobook is coming in the next few months as well. But what I'm going to do is enable some free copies. I'm going to donate some to Wolverhampton Archive Building in town, because my great-grandfather, Lambert Garwood, who established the first Afro-Caribbean church in Wolverhampton, wrote a book also, and he donated copies of it to the Wolverhampton Archive Building. So I think I'm going to follow the same footsteps as my great-grandfather, who donated his book.
Following his legacy.
Following his blueprint, in the sense of leaving books in the Wolverhampton Archive for anyone to walk in, whether it's my family members or anyone from off the street, to just walk in, go to the Wolverhampton Archive and have access to my book.
That's fantastic.
It was interesting reading my great-grandfather's book.
What was it about?
The book is called The Church as I See It by Lambert Garwood. And in the book, he just details his experience from coming from Jamaica to the UK and the difficulties that he faced in finding housing, and what influenced him and supported his decision to co-found the first Afro-Caribbean church in Wolverhampton. And he names a lot of people who helped him on his journey. He explained some of the long journeys that he had to go through, bus rides and the walks that he had to go through in order to establish the things that he established. And he talks about in the book overall that God is love. God is more powerful than the church kind of thing. We can honor God more by our communications with our fellow brothers and sisters is what I got from the book. And it was insightful because it gave me insight into like the 40s, what was Wolverhampton or the UK like in the 40s, 30s, 50s. It was insightful. So I think,
Is that church still there?
yeah, I think the church is still, I don't want to say the name of the church that I think it is because I might get it wrong. I think it's the Heathtown Church, but I could be wrong. But yeah, the church is still there. So I found a sense of inspiration. Being a great grandson, reading my great grandfather's book, it was inspirational because I thought I can give my book to the Wolverhampton archive, and who knows, my great grandkids might
Take aspiration from that too.
have access to it, and I can give them an insight into what the world was like in our time.
Yeah. Sounds wonderful, man.
Yeah, man.
Is there anything else you want to touch on before going to the last question?
I think we touched on a generous amount of topics, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of significant topics, a lot of inspirational topics. So I'm happy.
All right. Final one is what Dive CEO does. He gets people to write a question down for the next person. And these are questions from famous people that he's interviewed. My take on it is quite simple. I want you to say stop whenever you like. Say stop.
Stop.
And this is the card that we've chosen here. And this is a random question.
Should I take it from you?
And you can read it and answer it. Yeah. So who's it by? What's the question?
This is by Dr. Vonda Wright. And the question is, would you rather die with a sound body or sound mind?
That's deep.
What do you think my answer is going to be?
A sound body or a sound mind?
Would you rather die with a sound body or sound mind?
Sound mind?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Wrote that.
Dr. Vonda Wright.
Interesting. Yeah. Absolutely. So we're going to leave it there then. Doctor. Call you doctor now.
I will be soon when I get my doctorate. Yep.
How's that? What's the process for that?
I have to finish my master's first, and then once I finish my master's, I can get my doctorate and go from there.
You going for it?
Of course, I'm going for it, brother.
Fantastic, man. Good luck. We'll have you back on as doctor.
Yeah.
Dr. J.L. Spence, author. Listen, thank you very much for being here. Great to have you, man.
Likewise.
All right, respect.
Honor. Pleasure to be
Thank
here.
you. You take care, man. And if you've enjoyed this so far, hopefully we're going to be giving you some downloads. We'll probably put a link in the bio to get the book. What else? If you want a link to the Help Reset Guide, that's fine. If you want to join us on the soundball sessions, we've got that going on as well. We'll put the link below. And if you want the try out the Lotus rituals yourself, you can put that below and take it from there. Thank you very much. We'll catch you on the next one.